And today I'm joined by Stuart Pym, Senior Epicor Consultant for Crawford Software, who will be showing us an overview of Epicor's Product Configurator. It looks like we've got some folks still logging in, so what I'll do is I will launch a poll, just a short poll question, that if you're a current Epicor Product Configurator customer. And the poll is open. We'll take a few minutes. Feel free to answer the question, simple yes or no. And just a reminder, Stuart will be taking questions at the end of the webinar. And if you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to use the GoToWebinar chat room to ask your question to me. We'll be fielding questions at the end. Okay, looks like folks are answering the question. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Excellent. It looks like everybody's voted. Let me go ahead and close that poll. And let's just see the results. Excellent. Looks like 2/3 are not, 1/3 is. It's about normal. We'll go ahead and hide that. Great. So let's get started. Maybe we'll begin with a little background. Crawford Software has been an Epicor partner since 2008, and we've helped dozens of customers implement Epicor and customize the software to their business needs. We work with customers every step of the way, from business process review to go-to-live, as well as post-go-live support. Stuart Pym is a senior Epicor consultant, has over 20 years experience implementing and supporting manufacturing systems. Stuart is a proven technical specialist in Epicor 10.1 product configurator implementations, as well as multi-company, multi-currency implementations and AFR implementations. And on that note, what I'll do is turn the presentation over to Stuart, and Stuart will walk us through some of the key features of Epicor's Product Configurator. Stuart?
Thank you, Steve. Want to make sure that you can actually see the PowerPoint presentation?
We can.
Good, thank you. All right, here's the agenda that I want to cover over the next 40 to 45 minutes, closer to 40. That will give us quite a bit of time at the end for any questions that can come up, and we'll be happy to field those. Rather than going through each feature and function capability within the configurator, the entry product itself, I'm couching the discussion and the presentation just in terms of a scenario. So we'll talk about the scenario first. That way we're only looking at features that apply to the scenario. There's a depth and a breadth to this product and this technology that we really won't be able to do it justice in a matter of 40 minutes. But it only makes sense to look at the features and functions that apply to the specific scenario. We're going to create 2 order lines and actually to go through 2 configuration sessions as part of this demonstration. One is a simple configuration and one is more complex. As part of each configurator session, I'll actually pull up the configurator design window, and you can actually see, and we'll point out a couple of features that are being highlighted on that specific configuration example. Now, this configuration is designed to actually update the part number and many elements of the order line, thus affecting the order acknowledgement. So we'll see how the order acknowledgement prints. And then this configurator has been designed to actually update the method of manufacturing based on the selections that are made within the configurator session. And we'll see how those are affected in the actual resulting job that is created. We will create a job from the line and look at the job details that are associated with that order line. we've designed this so that it is a make-to-job or a make-to-order manufacturing job. Then we'll create the second order line, do a second configurator session, also look at the details of the resulting method of manufacturing, and review the order acknowledgement, which will have 2 lines on it. And that should leave us some time for some questions. Let's talk about the scenario. This was designed for a bed systems manufacturer, actually a truck bed system manufacturer. They provide products for all truck makes and models and all years back to the 1990s. They manufacture bed systems with 2 base types of materials. One's a composite type metal and one is just standard steel. Their base product, the part numbers that result from the configurator sessions and the base part numbers that they use for their methods of manufacturing are different if it's a composite metal or a standard steel metal. There are 2 kinds of system configurations that you can actually order from this place. One, with the composite product, they've limited the number of options. You'll only see 2, but we're using the same configurator to manage both the composite product and the standard steel product, which they actually call their original. And you'll see in the original product there are many more options that are available. Thus, they actually try and present the order processing personnel were coached to actually present the original product as an upsell. So every time they configured a base product, a composite product for someone, they would also put together a configuration for the original product, and you'll see how the options can actually add up to quite a bit of a profit for them. Again, one product configurator, just in terms of base product years and makes and models and products, there's 267 combinations. Epicor product configurator implementations that I've seen in the past, there was a preconceived notion that you had to have a product configurator match with every single part that you would create or create parts on the fly. That's not the case here. This is a configurator that's designed with 13 parts in mind, and I only end up with 13 part masters, so I don't have to worry about methods of manufacturing, 267 unique methods of manufacturing. This will the client really liked this because this allowed them to manage engineering changes to that method of manufacturing only against those 13 parts. Pricing is actually done primarily through the lookup tables managed through the configurator. We'll see those list prices for the base products. We apply discounts based on the discount group, and it's just against the entire order line. The discount group assigned to that customer. And just like every other demonstration you'll see on a base Epicor product, that Dalton is our main customer. Option prices are also maintained in the lookup tables, and I'll show you where those are. But they're also the price list is it is something that you could also maintain through a price list. Now I'm going to go over to Epicor. We are running Epicor 10.1.600 in our in-house systems. But this was originally developed in 10.1.400, so it easily migrates once you get to 10.1. I'm finding that the upgrade capability of this doesn't require any correction, at least so far. I will go and begin to enter our original order. And just so you know, this is not a pre-canned order. I'll just start from scratch. I will pick Dalton, and I'm going to add a new line. Now, the product configurator has been tied to one generic part that I've called TC config. I mean, this is just the base truck cover that's used for order entry. There is no price that results from this. This is just what the configurator has been assigned to, and the name of the configurator also happens to be TC config. The results of the configurator session will return the selected part number. It will change the description. I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to have to remember to put an order quantity of 1. So I've designed the configurator so that the order quantity actually is always 1 on this order line. It can be overridden, of course. And then it's from here that you actually are able to launch the configurator session. This is the configurator screen. But the actual design of the configurator looks like this. So these are all of the fields that could be used in a configurator session. There are end caps and side rails and storage trays and hitch holders and cup holders that could be used within this configurator session. However, when you see this screen, you'll see that those fields are actually hidden. The kind of truck I'm going to configure a bed system for today is a Chevy Colorado. It's a 2014 model year. I want to make sure that you keep your eye on these fields up here. Typically these are hidden, but I expose them just for this demonstration so that you can see the approach that we're using to filter the fields in these drop-down lists. As you are aware, I'm sure, there are many models other than Colorado across all truck lines. Only the models for Chevy appeared in the drop-down list after I selected Chevy, and I'll show you how that happens. I'm a 2014, and there are only 2 bed sizes available in the 2014 Chevy Colorado. That's a 5-foot and a 6-foot. And I filter these based on lookup tables that have been set up in Epicor. I'm going to select the 5-foot, and this first one I'm actually going to select the composite bed system, and it keeps only these 2 options. A couple of things I want to point out before we go into the lookup tables. You can see that the description for the base description actually was built based on how I configure the selections that were done here. And this is actually the filter that's used to determine which years are available. I'm sorry, to determine which bed sizes are available. Once I select the bed size, this is what's used to see which products are available. As a result of selection of each of these 5 drop-downs, I come to one specific part number, and this is the part number that will be returned to the order line. This is the price that's recorded in the lookup tables. For this scenario, I'm going to select no drill installation. That was an option that was available where you could actually buy some clips that would allow the installer to not have to actually drill into the bed. There is also an option where we could provide an additional rubber mat for them, in addition to the standard mat that came with the bed system. And as you can tell, this actually increased the package price to $245. I mentioned that the drop-down lists are populated by lookup tables. If I go back to Epicor, you'll actually see that under Sales, Configurator Management, and Setup, configurator lookup tables are actually available, but I've preloaded 3. One is the actual model lookup table. I'll show you the details of the list. What's nice about this lookup table function, this table is actually importable and exportable to Excel. So I can maintain this list if I needed to in Excel, but I can also add and remove. When I select Chevy, this is how I filter and present back to the configurator session the models that are available for Chevy. Believe it or not, these are all the trucks and models that are available in the market today. The second table I want to show you is the part lookup. As I indicated, this field right here is built during the configurator session as I select each drop-down. It is this combination of year, year, model, bed size, and product that gets me to a specific part number. It is in this lookup table that we show the cross-reference between that combined string that gets built in the configurator session and its corresponding part number. As you can see, all 267 combinations are listed here. You can also see that each combination has a base description with which it's associated, allowing for customization for each specific combination, not just for description, but for price. So if there was a special, they wanted this capability so that if there was a special that was being run, they could actually override the price for a composite bed system for one set of, for a Ford model or for a Mazda model. The last table I wanted to show you is the options list. Now this is the options based on the bed size, the product, and this has been implemented with only 10 options. The configurator was designed with 20 options available, and the functions that were built to actually calculate price and to rebuild the string, the actual extended description, were designed so that 20 options were available. But for our initial implementation, we've only implemented 10. Now the options have been designed so that there's actually selections within each option. So option 4 actually has 6 types of options. You can get side, and we'll go through those in our second example, but you can actually see that you can get side rails on both sides, on the driver's side and on the passenger side, and you can establish pricing at that level. Again, these are all maintained in the lookup tables, are not embedded within the configurator themselves. When they're changed, you do not have to regenerate the configurator. That's about enough discussion on the lookup tables. Back to our initial example and our initial line in review. We've selected the composite bed system, 5 foot, with the rubber mat option and the no drill install package. By clicking Save, I save the configuration and it returns this information back to the order line. The unit price, as you can tell, has been changed along with the order quantity. The description matches the description that was built in the configurator session. If I go to the comments section, you'll see that the sales order comment includes the detailed text that was built during the configurator session. And as I said, we're going to go and create a job for this. Just as a side note, these are non-standard products. By definition, a configured product has to be non-standard. It has to be non-stock, excuse me. All right, so 5378 is my sales order. I'm going to create the next job. And there's my job. Now at this point, I could still go back and make changes to that configured sales order line because I have not gone through and clicked this Get Details button, which actually pulls in the detailed method of manufacturing, applies the configurator rules, does the keeps and whens, and we'll review those in a bit, and then marks the job as engineered. For our purposes here, I'm just going to go ahead and pull it in, and then we'll go to the job. I'm going to expand the tree, and you can see, unfortunately, I can't keep this open at the same time I'm looking at the actual configurator rules, but I'll go back to that. You can see there's Operation 10, Operation 13, Operation 20, and Operation 60. We've got a standard deck that has been selected. We've got the regular mat and the rubber mat. So we added the rubber mat and we've got the no drill install kit. So as a result of the implementation of our configurator rules, the rubber mat has been kept and the no drill install kit has been selected. I'm going to close this screen and the job manager, and I'm going to go back over to our configurator rules. Now you'll see here the configurator rules have many, many more operations and materials. Two different ways you can design your configurator. You can design your configurator so it's an assembly of a set of modular parts. We've chosen to not design it in that manner. We've chosen to design it so that a super method of manufacturing is created, meaning all of the possible operations and materials have been incorporated into a super method of manufacturing. This is the method of manufacturing that will work for both original as well as composite. I've got Operation 10 and 13, as we saw before, in Operation 20. But I've also got an Operation 30, and a 35, and a 40, and a 50. We saw an Operation 60, but there's more material on here than before. The way you keep the implementation of our configurator is done through a process that actually keeps components. So I keep components when a certain condition exists as defined in the configuration in the configurator session. So for our case, standard deck was selected. Let me go down to the rubber mat. In operation 20, we added the rubber mat when this value is true. Now this is actually C# code, but the nice thing about this configurator tool, this is blanked out right now, but that's only because it's in an approved status. If it were unapproved, I could actually click this expression builder, and it functions much like an expression builder would in either Excel or in Microsoft Access, where it actually helps you build this actual function. I'll show you a couple of places where it's used, one here and one in the next, on the next order line, so that you can see it actually provides, you can see how it returns and generates a C# statement for more than just a true or false value. But all this is saying is I'm returning a true value based on option 1 that's an input in the configurator session. Through my naming conventions in the configurator, I can actually see which fields are exposed or viewed by showing that they're inputs. It's just naming conventions that I personally have applied. And you can see we've actually built capabilities for up to 20 options. Option 1 is related to the rubber mat. And it is kept, that material is kept. If that field is not selected, if it's not true, then this material will no longer be kept. In our second option, you'll see, I'll make sure to not select rubber mat, so that you'll see that that rubber mat material is not actually part of that job. Down in operation 60, you can see that there's a drill install kit and a no drill install kit. Both will not be on one order line, on one job. It will be either or. And that's controlled based on this option 2X. If it's yes, or if it's no. And again, I use the expression builder all the time to build this stuff. I forget to put the colon at the end, or the semicolon at the end. It just kind of takes care of all that for you. But you can see there's other materials that actually are only available in the original product line. Whenever you select component, a composite product type, those will never actually get issued to the job. We'll come back to this when we go through the original method of manufacturing. At this point, I'll create a sales order acknowledgement, display it to the screen. Now, one customization, and it is a small customization that needs to be done to make this look good, is you actually have to change this section here so that the font that's used in the report is actually a fixed width font. If you use something like a Courier font here, this is designed so it actually lines up. But because we move this to different deployments, I haven't actually gone in and made that customization change. Another change that would be made would be moving that discount line possibly below this so that it actually looks similar. But this is the standard, this is just the standard order acknowledgement. Much of the time it's customized anyway. All right. So now, because I'm a well-trained customer service rep, I'm actually going to try and upsell an original. And I'm going to create a new order line for the original. Again, TC config is a part number that I'm starting with. Now, by default, it doesn't show any of the options that I want, but keep your eye on it. Also watch up here and you can see how the selections will change. It's a Chevy Colorado 2014 again, 5-foot bed, and this time I'm going to select the original product, and all of a sudden I've got a whole bunch of additional fields. Now, one thing to note, you won't actually see any price field appear until I select one of these additional options. That was a request of the client. Just because they didn't want to have all of these price fields be confusing, when one is selected, you'll see that all of a sudden I've got a different section that's been created in this block of text, and the end cap option has been selected. Now I can also add the rubber mat. That's in a separate section called the selected bed system options. But then the original bed system options are in a separate section. Drill installation is free. As I said before, I'm going to leave the no drill installation. I'm going to stay with the drill installation required. Actually, that's not what I said I'd do. I said I'd actually not pick the rubber mat so that you'll see that the rubber mat is not issued to the job. And I'm going to select drill installation required so there's no upcharge there. When I select side rails, it provides me with the options that are available for the side rails. I can either do 6 or 12-inch side rails, and I can have the driver's side or passenger side have the side rails. Or if I really want to go big, I can put them on both sides, and I'm going big. Storage trays, I have similar flexibility. I can either put storage trays on the driver's side, on the passenger side, or on both sides. I'm going to put them on both sides. Hitch holders, I can either buy one hitch holder or two, and I'm just going to buy two. I use this feature, and we'll look at that in the resulting method of manufacturing to demonstrate that you can also update quantities, job quantities on the job based on the selections within the configurator session. I'm going to add a cup holder, a bottle opener. I'm going to add on, I'm going to replace the standard deck with a marine grade deck. And I'm going to add bi-level storage. So this is a full bloat bed system. $703, and again, the discount will be applied. One thing I want to point out at this time, you'll see a very faint image here. Customer requested that we actually put a placeholder here so that when they build images and actually can insert some pictures, based on the product that's selected, the image will be presented and it will change based on the product that's been selected. Their marketing organization also wanted to get to a point where they could actually, based on the make and model and year that's selected, have the image incorporated with the vision of the truck. That was actually going to take some time for them to do that, so we didn't actually get the images created. But the placeholder is here for that capability. The end game for this is to actually expose this via the web to the end customer so that they could actually build the truck system configuration on their own. And that is available through Commerce Connect and Epicor, and this is all readily accessible and available with no changes that are required in order to make that work. I'm going to save this at this point. $703 or a quantity of 1. This is the second line. You'll see that my comments come back and are displayed. And I'm going to create the job. And again, I'm going to go ahead and get the details, pull it in. And then we'll go to job entry and we can look at the method of manufacturing. You can see that we've got quite a few more operations than we did before. On the first line, the job related to the first line rather. Expand the tree. So if you recall, on the original product, on the job for the first order line, the material that is called out for that operation was a standard deck. That's actually no longer on the method of manufacturing. It has been replaced with this marine grade deck. Effectively, what's happened is this is the part that's been kept, and the other one has been discarded. So material 16 has been discarded. Material 17 has been kept. Operation 30 has been added. This is the operation with the hitch holders. You go back to operation 20, you can see that there is not an additional mat because we did not request a rubber mat be issued for this order. Now, for the hitch holders, one thing I want to point out, I selected 2 hitch holders. My standard method of manufacturing only has 1. And as part of the configurator session, I actually updated the configuration details so that when the job was created, it created it with a quantity of 2 hitch holder assemblies to be issued to this job. Operation 35 was also added or kept with an end cap assembly. Operation 40, where we're putting side rails on, you can actually see that we not only have the driver's side rails, but we have the passenger side rails. Thus, the result of the selection of both, when you say both sides, for the side rail. As you would expect, you'll have a similar result for storage trays because we picked both the driver's side and the passenger side storage trays were selected. Now you can see we also selected the 12-inch driver's side. All right, there are 6-inch and 12-inch. Effectively, there are 4 side rail assemblies that are available for assignment on this operation. We'll see that when we go back and review the method of manufacturing. And then finally, under operation 60, where the add-on parts are assigned, the cup holder was selected, the bottle opener was selected, and in this case, the drill install kit was selected as the standard, and the no drill install kit was not kept. Like I said, I've got to close this out. We can go back to the method here. You can see that both drill install kits are here, the drill and the no drill. You can see that there are 4 side rail assemblies in our super method of manufacturing, and you can see both the standard deck and the marine grade deck are kept, are included and have rules associated. I did want to show you the rule that's associated with the end cap assembly. I'm sorry, not the end cap, with the hitch holder. This is a bit of a different rule, and you can see this is complex as your rules get, and I use the expression builder to build this. And all I'm doing is I'm saying I'm testing if the option 6 question value is equal to 1, and I assign 1 to the material quantity, otherwise I select 2. I assign 2. Finally, let's look at the sales order acknowledgement. You'll see how it's produced for both order lines our initial order line was kept. This is in comparison to the second order line. Discounts are applied to each order line. And typically what I would do is make sure that we have the order line firmed before we would actually release the job. This was done just for demonstration purposes. One of the biggest benefits that our client saw as a result of this the add-ons were actually added as miscellaneous charges previously. And then they would customize the job based on text that was placed in the order. This discipline allowed pricing to be held based on the pricing rules that were in place. So there was an integration, it was basically alignment between the pricing that they wanted to hold and the actual price that was offered to the customer and the options that were selected for that specific job. Thus they saw, honestly, they saw a revenue increase as a result of that. Plus it was so easy to put together a package for an original bed system. They also saw a significant uplift as a result of that implementation. So Steve, at that point, that wraps up all I wanted to present for this point. If there are questions at this point, I'll hand it back to you, and we'll field as many as we can in the next 15 minutes.
That sounds great. Thanks, Stuart. Appreciate it. We did have some questions come in from the audience. I'll just fire them off to you. So the first one, how long does it typically take to implement Product Configurator?
So the first Product Configurator implementation is typically the longest. because of the business decisions that you're faced with as a result of the capabilities of this new product configurator. This particular client took it as an opportunity to redesign their methods of manufacturing so that they could take advantage of this larger, of a standard, effectively a standard method, a standard MOM across their 13 products. And that took a little bit of their time. In terms of development of the actual product configurator itself, once that redesign was complete, then it took about 80 hours to do the first one. Subsequent configurators that we built for them took between 20 and 40 hours for other products that were actually more complex.
Great, thanks. Next question, Stuart. What's the most difficult aspect of implementing Product Configurator?
It was the standardization decisions that they're presented with, that our client was presented with, on whether or not they wanted to engage and actually work through the challenges of getting engineering to revise all their methods of manufacturing so that they could take advantage of the ease of use that customer service have, and even that a customer-facing product configurator capability would provide to their sales organization. So it basically working through those challenges and those questions was really the hardest thing. The implementation of the configurator design itself went relatively quickly once we actually, everyone embraced what the scope of the actual change project was.
A related question, and one that we see from our customers, how much programming knowledge do you need to implement Product Configurator?
A small amount, but because of what I demonstrated, that expression editor capability, you're actually able to do quite a bit, and it picks up quite a bit. You're able to pick up quite a bit as you're using that expression editor. I am not a C# programmer myself, but I actually picked it up by using the expression editor and applying rules, doing a little bit of Google lookup on certain commands, but not much.
Okay, great. Can you import data into the Product Configurator?
Yes, you can actually. I'll show you. I used Excel to actually import and export the make and model tables between our different implementations. So, and this is really nice when it actually helped their sales organization figure out how they're going to maintain their prices. It just was very easy to manage. So this is all imported and exported through Excel and can be maintained in Excel. But in addition, the actual product configurator design in its entirety is imported and exported between using XML. So, and it's just an export feature. I'll bring it up right now, and you can actually see. This is the configurator entry, and here's, you can import or export the configuration.
Hold on, sir. I'll make you the presenter so you can.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And while Stuart's bringing that up, just a reminder, if anybody has additional questions, you certainly can ask them in the chat room, and we will certainly get to those questions.
I'm sorry. Here's the Excel tables that I actually had thought I was demonstrating. So here's how we're able to actually maintain the prices through Excel, and I can import and export through Excel. So these were the 3 tables that we reviewed. This is how we built all the combinations. We didn't have to actually enter them in one at a time. And just as you can do a paste insert in other areas in Epicor, you can do so in Lookup Tables. So I'm going to pull up that same Lookup Table and show you that you actually have paste insert capability for model. So you'd go to Details, and you right-click, and then Paste Inserts there. But in addition, the configurator itself. So if you actually initially develop this in test, to move it to production, which is how you would actually, we would recommend you do it, everything is saved and managed under the configurator entry function, and it is from here that you actually do an export and an import of the configuration. I'll hand it back to you, Steve.
Great, thanks. Just a couple questions left, Stuart. Based on your experience, what's the best features of Product Configurator?
The product lookup tables and the ability to actually drive customer service and engineering to a standard set of part numbers. That way, engineering has fewer designs to manage, manufacturing has fewer designs to build. And in terms of best practices in manufacturing, where you can actually be standard, costs are going to be better. So that's the benefit directly that we've seen. Another benefit is the ability to have pricing rules adhered to as part of your configuration process, and have that be readily applied without having to add miscellaneous charges into order entry. So you can actually show significant customization to your customer, actually saying, we made this bed system specifically for a Ford 2014 or for a Chevy 2014 Colorado, where actually just built it for a 5-foot bed system, and it looks like mass customization.
Great. Last question from the group, and it's a good one. Any tips or additional tips or tricks that you'd recommend for implementing Product Configurator?
The naming conventions. I'll go back.
Do you want me to make you the presenter again?
Yeah, just a second. I got to get logged back in. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll go to the configurator design. Tips and tricks, you end up creating a lot of variables, especially if you build it for flexibility, like as was done here. Come up with some standard variable names so that they're easy to identify, especially the calculated fields from the input fields. Another tip that we utilized, one of the things that happens every time, and I'll actually show you where this happens, when this field is changed, all right, this is where you actually tell the system what to do. There are user-defined methods that are created that we've built to actually recalculate the price and rebuild the extended description. These get referenced just by calling UD recalc price. And I put that at the end of every section that says on field changed. So every time an end cap gets changed, this price gets recalculated and this section gets recalculated. Where you can, I would encourage you to look at user-defined tables. I'm sorry, at the user-defined methods, and I'll show you where those are managed. under Operations, Configurator User-Defined Methods. Now these are specific to each configurator, but they're easily replicated. And you can see we've got 3. And only two are being used. Actually, all 3 are. I've got one to return the customer group, one to recalculate the price, and one to rebuild the extended description. If I would have known those going into my first configurator, configurator implementation, it would have actually made it go quicker.
Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Stuart. We certainly appreciate your time. It looks like that's the last question of the day. On behalf of all of us at Crawford Software, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We truly hope you've enjoyed today's webinar. Just some housekeeping. All attendees today will receive a link to the recorded version of this webinar. And please join us for our next webinar coming up on Wednesday, September 20th at noon Eastern, when we'll give an overview of Epicor 10.1's supply chain functionality. You can register on our website at www.crawford-software.com or look for an upcoming email invitation. And that concludes today's webinar. I want to thank you again and have a great day.